Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Calvary. We're so glad that you could join us tonight. We're going to start off the service with some worship, so if you will stand up and join us. We're going to start with a song called Man of Your Word.
All things are possible when we believe. All chains are breakable when we receive Yahweh. You keep your promises. If you said it, we believe it. If you said it, we believe it. Oh, if you said it, we believe it. 'Cause you're a man of your word. If you said it, we believe it. Oh, if you said it, we believe it. 'Cause you're a man of your word. All things are possible when we believe. All chains are breakable when we receive Yahweh. You keep your promises. If you said it, we believe it. If you said it, we believe it. Oh, if you said it, we believe it. 'Cause you're a man of your word. If you said it, we believe it. Oh, if you said it, we believe it. 'Cause you're a man of your word. We have this confidence that you'll finish what you started. God, you have never failed, and you won't start with me. You're present in every step, patient in every heartache. God, you have never failed, and you won't start with me. If you said it, we believe it. Oh, if you said it, we believe it. 'Cause you're a man of your word. If you said it, we believe it. Oh, if you said it, we believe it. 'Cause you're a man of your word. If you said it, we believe it. Oh, if you said it, we believe it. 'Cause you're a man of your word.
Your voice made the stars ignite and gave me eyes to see their light. Your hands drew the waters wide and pulled me to the other side. You saw me in my broken state and ran to me with reckless grace. You knew the price I'd have to pay, but your love chose to take my place. Your presence I live for. I'm all in, I'm all yours, and I'm giving everything that I've got. I'm singing at the top of my lungs because you're worth it. You're worth it all, and I'm giving everything that I've got. I'm singing at the top of my lungs because you're worth it. You're worth it all. You're worth it all.
healed with every stripe. You traded death to save my life. Your presence I live for. I'm all in. I'm all yours. And I'm giving everything that I've got. I'm singing at the top of my lungs because you're worth it. You're worth it all. And I'm giving everything that I've got. I'm singing at the top of my lungs because you're worth it. You're worth it all. And we sing holy, holy, holy are you, Lord. And we sing worthy, worthy, you're worthy of it all. And we sing holy, holy, holy are you, Lord. And we sing worthy, worthy, you're worthy of it all. And I'm giving everything that I've got. I'm singing at the top of my lungs because you're worth it. You're worth it all. And I'm giving everything that I've got. I'm singing at the top of my lungs because you're worth it. You're worth it all. You're worth it all.
The last song we've got for y'all tonight is called Another in the Fire. And I love this song because it's just a great reminder of how no matter what we go through, no matter what trials we face, we're never ever alone in them.
There's a grace when the heart is under fire. Another way when the walls are closing in. And when I look at the space between where I used to be and this reckoning, I know I will never be alone. And I know I will never be alone. There was another in the fire standing next to me. There was another in the waters holding back the seas. And should I ever need reminding of how I've been set free, there is a cross that bears the burden where another died for me. There is another in the fire. All my dead left for dead beneath the waters. I'm no longer a slave to my sin anymore. And should I fall in the space between what remains of me and this reckoning, either way I will bow to the things of this world. And I know I will never be alone. There is another in the fire standing next to me. There is another in the waters holding back the seas. And should I ever need reminding what power set me free, there is a grave that holds no body. Now that power lives in me. There is another in the fire. Oh, 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 now you see the light in the darkness as the darkness bows to him. I can hear the roar in the heavens as the space between us been. I can feel the ground shake beneath us as the prison walls cave in. Nothing stands between us. Nothing stands between us. Christ Jesus. He who was and still is and will be through it all. So come what may in the space between all the things unseen and this reckoning, I know I will never be alone. And I know I will never be alone. There'll be another in the fire standing next to me. There'll be another in the waters holding back the seas. And should I ever need reminding how good you've been to me, I'll count the joy come every battle, 'cause I know that's where you'll be. There is another in the fire. There is another in the fire.
Will you bow your heads and pray with me? Dear Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for everything you've given us, Lord. I just praise you and thank you for all that you've done. I pray for Bethel as he comes up here, because we all know he's very scared today, but that's okay. Just help us get through this holiday season. I know it's hard for a lot of people, so just thank you for everything you've done. Amen. Welcome.
Thank you. What's up, guys? How's everybody doing tonight? Y'all doing good? Awesome. Appreciate it, Grace. Everyone give it up for Legacy one more time. They do amazing work every week. And they actually did Man of Your Word. I asked them, that was like my request a few weeks ago. We did it at Wednesdays, and I just thought it was so cool. I listen to that song at least once a day, but that's my favorite version. I already had to go to my notes. I told myself I was going to try not to look, but I'm already looking. So there's 3 times in my life that I've been nervous, and I'm going to go in order, so don't think I'm putting anyone behind anything. The first time was in Super Bowl 52. In the last 2 minutes, the Philadelphia Eagles and Tom Brady was driving down the field. That's the first time I've ever been nervous because it's Tom Brady. But we prevailed, and yes, we got a ring. And I've seen the Eagles win more than the Cowboys, just so y'all know. The second time I've ever been nervous was when my wife walked down that aisle. And then the third time is tonight. And so y'all bear with me, because if I jumble my words and I mess up, then that's not on me. I like to tell my students on Wednesdays, and they told me not to say it tonight. But I told them I like to take pre-workouts because it jacks me up. And it makes me feel good. Tonight I didn't do that, and I'm still jacked up for some reason, so I don't know. Y'all just bear with me. But anyways, we're going to go ahead and get into the message. So tonight I was wanting to get into something. I'm just going to call it Takeover. Is anyone here like a UFC fan, or does anyone know Conor McGregor? Anybody? Okay. So there's something that Conor McGregor said, like when he first came in, before he was a champion, and it's just something that stuck with me because I really loved it. I know a lot of people don't like who the guy is, but his confidence and stuff motivates me to be better. And one thing that he said was, "I'm not here to take part, I'm here to take over." And that's just one thing that sticks with me. And I like to, when I go somewhere, when I do something, I'm not here to take part, I'm here to take over. I'm here to be the best at everything. So when I came on to Calvary, I told Pastor Matt, I don't care about any of these other churches, because we're not taking part. We're going to take over, and we're going to be the best church in Snyder. I know we have visitors from other churches, so I just thought I'd stick that out there to y'all. But anyway, so when I talk about takeover, I talk about being the best possible person at everything and striving to be the best at everything that I can be. So when I do that, I apply that to my physical health. I apply that to being the best father, being the best husband, being the best... just being the best at everything. When I go do extracurricular stuff, like if I want to go play football or something, I want to be the best when I'm out there. And it got me thinking, if I want to take over and everything, sorry, I just swallowed my gum, and I didn't choke. So it got me thinking, like, if I want to take over in every aspect of my life, what holds me back from taking over and like being the best follower of God that I could possibly be, you know? So what does that look like to me? How can I take over in that situation? How can I be the best possible follower? The first thing I told myself is I can't try to compete with anybody else, because if we all, I can't try to compete with anybody else, because I don't want to compete with you guys to be the best follower. I want to compete with myself to be the best possible follower I could be, because if I could be the best possible follower, I could be the best fisher of men that I can be. And if you could do the same, then we all could be great fishers of men. And by the time we know it, we have a whole world saved, you know? Everything starts with a little bit of change. So it just got me thinking, what could I do to help me take over? What can I do to help me get to those steps? What tools do I need to get there? So tonight I just came up with 3 steps that I'm going to be going through that are going to lead us to be better followers of Christ, helping us to lead people to the kingdom, and most importantly, just taking over a sinful world with Christ-like influence, acts, and obedience to God, because those are 3 of the main things that you need to be a great follower, because without one of the 3, then you're probably already falling behind. So let's go ahead and get into it. My first thing, and before I say this, like I know you see fitness tests, like I'm not about to make everybody do push-ups, don't worry about it. But if you want a push-up challenge, I'm here. But anyway, so my first thing is it's a fitness test, and that's what I thought to myself, like what's something I can gauge myself, something about self-evaluation. You know, like I need to look at myself. What do I look like in the mirror as a follower of God? What do I look like? In Psalms 139, 23 through 24, it says, Search me, O God, and know my heart. Try me and know my anxieties, and see if there is any wicked way in me, and lead me in the way of everlasting. So what it's basically saying is we're asking God to reveal our hardships and to know where to fix it, to better be in God's favor and not in our favor. Because when we're in our favor, our self-reflection isn't as great. But when we're in God's favor, our self-reflection is just, it's amazing. It's crazy. You always want to see yourself in the mirror when you see God, because you love to see God. And so with all that, I just like to look at things from a fitness aspect. And so if I can't compete in something, and I can't challenge myself to do better in something if I'm out of shape. If I'm not in shape to go do a powerlifting competition, I need to get in shape. And by that, I have to train, right? I have to do the things in order to get me prepared to do my best at whatever it is that I want to do. So with that, I have four different areas to where I need to self-evaluate myself and see where I need to work at. And so the first one is spiritual fitness. And so when I say spiritual fitness, I look at how is my spiritual life? Am I living in the fruit of the Spirit? Galatians 5:22 and 23 is the fruit of the Spirit, right? And there's 9 attributes that go into that. And all of them are love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. And to me, that's a good part to gauge where you're at with your spiritual life, because we're not always going to be living all 9 at the same time. And if you are, props to you, because it's hard for me to love some people sometimes. That's just being honest. But I still love them. My pastor's here watching me, so he needs to know I still love him. But anyways, we need to look at ourselves in those areas, in all 9 of those. And we have to see where are we falling back, or where can we use more work. And sometimes it may be a few, sometimes it may be all of them, sometimes it may just be a couple. And it might not even be our weakest spots, but it could also be just the areas that we need to be strengthened in for the season of life that we're going in. You have to sharpen certain tools to get ready for certain jobs. You know what I mean? So when I look at those, I know I need to work on a few of them. And I just ask that if you don't know, maybe you pray to God and you ask him, what areas do you need to work in me, God? Like, what fruit of the Spirit am I lacking? Where am I lacking in the fruit of the Spirit? And where can I use boosting? Where can I use training to help me get there and be better? And if it's self-control, it's self-explanatory and self-control. Learn how to control yourself. Learn to do things. And in control, we know that we're the ones who aren't even in control. It's God. So I'm not used to that, though, so that's pretty cool. But anyways, gentleness. Like if you need to be more gentle with someone, if you need to love on people more, if you need to be more peaceful with people, that's something to work on. I used to have a rough time in all of them. I feel like I'm doing better in most, but I still need work for different seasons, right? None of us are ever perfect, and none of us will ever be there. So my second part of it is, there it is, intellectual fitness. And Proverbs 16:18 through 19 is basically telling us, humble yourself. Being prideful and thinking you've mastered something like Scripture is when you're heading towards a fall or like a rude awakening. That's basically what Proverbs 16:18 and 19 are telling you. So with that being said, like my intellectual fitness, where do I stand as far as my knowledge of the Bible? How much am I learning? Am I having any new thoughts when I read the Bible? When I go back to a passage, am I just thinking the same things, or am I seeing things from different perspectives? And it's like I was telling my wife last night. It's like with the story of Jesus being born. Everybody reads it every year. We all read it, right? I mean, it's just part of it because Jesus is the reason for Christmas. But like, do we ever take time to think about things like the perspective, like, what was it like from King Herod's view, or from the wise men, or from Joseph, or from Mary, or for even thinking of like the people in the surrounding villages, or like how Pastor Matt said today, the guy who was too busy and he couldn't keep an open spot at his little hotel or inn in order to have Mary there, and he could have had the Son of God born in his hotel. Like, you ever look at things from different perspectives? Like, think about stuff like that. What else is like, I've learned this over the past few weeks, and it's not about how we interpret something, but it's about how the author interprets it. The author wrote that book in that Bible for a reason, not for us to pick it up in a different way, but for us to see it the way they wrote it. And that's another part of intellectual fitness. So where do I stand on that? Exactly how much do I understand of the Bible? What is my intake of God? And again, this is going to sound like I'm being repetitive, but don't be prideful. One of the biggest things that will hold you back from doing anything spiritually in life or anything for the glory of God is being prideful. When we're prideful, it takes a lot of stuff away from us. So be honest with yourself. Break it down. I'm not telling you to go preach and type on Facebook, hey, this is how much I know. And I'm not telling you to go on Facebook and say, hey, I'm lacking in these areas. But tell yourself that, because you know and God knows. No one else has to know. So my third one is relational fitness. What I mean by relational fitness is your marriage, your family, and your Christian friends. How does that look like? How does life like that look like? In 1 Timothy 3, 4, and 5, it's basically saying if you can't take care of or lead your household, then how can you take care of or lead a church or other people, like your peers, you know? And so if you're not straight in your own house, then how are you going to do that? How are you going to go to church on Sundays? And how are we going to try to go and tell people how to live when we're not even doing it under our own roof? So with that being said, like your wife is there. If you have a spouse, then your spouse is there for a reason. Your spouse is your backbone. Your spouse is your support. Your spouse is there to pick you up when you're down, and vice versa. We're there to work for each other because we become one when we become married, just as God intended it to be, right? So you have to always make sure, first and foremost, because your marriage comes before anything, your children, your parents, or anything. I know it's hard for some of us to get that. When I see my daughter's cute little face, it's hard for me to remember that, but I do. I think I do, at least. But anyways, so you want to make sure that's right. Second of all, you want to make sure your family's good. You don't want to you don't want to get off work and come home bitter, yelling at your kids or yelling at your wife just because you had a long day at work. That doesn't mean they have to have a long day or a long evening. You want to make sure they're good. You want to make sure you're instilling the values that God placed for us, not the values that we place for ourselves that's accepted by the world. You want to make sure we always have God present. His presence is always felt in the household. How does that look like with your family? Maybe opening up at the table, talking about how your day goes. Just doing things like that. That's how you can gauge yourself where you're at. And if you're not doing that, I'm not bashing you saying you're failing, but that's what's part of this fitness test, to see where we are. Again, it's not about being prideful. It's about knowing where our weaknesses are and where we can build them up to be better followers. And then with our Christian friends, along with our family and along with our spouses, they're there to challenge us to be better, to hold us accountable. And like Proverbs 27:17 says, iron sharpens iron. That's what your Christian friends are there for. So whenever you have your Christian friends, they're there to confide in things that maybe you don't feel comfortable talking to your spouse about because you don't want to put the stress on them. I'm not saying to go hide things for them, but maybe it's easier for me to open up with Cody Voiles about things than what it is to open up with Ashley about things. And that's what it's there for. But I can't use my friendships just to, I don't know how to put it. I can't use my friendships just to tell him the information that I want him to know. Like, you have to be willing to go with your full private on most insecure issues or insecure thoughts that you ever have. And you have to be able to have that one Christian friend, or maybe even a couple or more, to go and tell them those problems, tell them those struggles, so they can open up with you and y'all can help each other, so they can hold you accountable. And because without that, guys, we're just tearing ourselves away, battling our inner demons, and we all need each other. because iron truly does sharpen iron, and I believe that strongly. My last part of like gauging your fitness is your physical fitness. And the verse I'm going to read the verse I'm talking about is 1 Corinthians 6, verses 19 through 20. Everybody knows this verse. You know, you hear it all the time. Our body is a temple. You know, God gives us our body, and He pays for He pays for our body with Jesus when He made that ultimate sacrifice, right? And we get that. Yes, I know I have tattoos. That doesn't apply to me. It applies to y'all. No, I'm just kidding. I told Cody this yesterday. I said, to me, when you get a tattoo, it's like when you go and you get your truck or your car off the lot brand new, and it has those annoying little stock rims, and you know it's like the worst possible wheels that you want on your vehicle. So then you go and upgrade it. I told him that's what a tattoo's like. So therefore, I try to justify it, but I don't know. I'll leave that up to y'all. But anyways, so we're stewards of our body that was paid for by Jesus, and we're supposed to use our bodies to glorify God. We can't glorify God when we're using our bodies for sexual immortality. If you're whether you're married or if you're single, when you use your body for that, you're not using your body to glorify God at all. When we're just standing around, or when we don't want to take advantage of keeping our bodies kept up well, getting in the gym, and I'm not saying everyone has to go out and be Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, like. We don't have to do that, but we want to take care of our bodies. We want to keep that good, because you're not glorifying God when you're just obese and you're just sitting there pounding down fast food every night. Chances are not all of us are Chad Johnson, and we could survive and look good doing that. If y'all don't know who Chad Johnson is, I'm sorry. So we have to take care of our bodies. We have to do these things. We have to make sure it's glorifying God in every way and in every facet, not just with piercings, but also with our weight, with our sexuality, and even like the markings on us. We do have to remember, guys, that we are stewards of our bodies. These aren't our forever homes. This is just like what God gives us is like a vehicle to drive on the path that He placed for us and to go. So if someone gives you a new vehicle, the first thing you do, you don't go beat it up, get it beat up and drive it around and show it off. No, you keep it nice. You keep the oil changed in it. You keep it clean. You keep washing your vehicle, right? If you have a new one, you want to take good care of it. That's how we should feel about our bodies. We want to take care of our bodies. We want to take care of ourselves. That's what God intends for us. How can we be leaders and be influences to people if we're not playing the part? You have to look the part to play the part. It's something I believe in. And anyways, I'll just move on to the next one. And that's part 2 of this. This is the second thing, and this is taking steps. So once you figure it out, you gauge yourself, and you're honest with yourself, and you figure out what areas you need. And trust me, like, I need a lot of areas. When I was doing this and I was writing this down for myself, I was really like humbling myself a lot. I know I get up here and I like to play with you guys every week, and I like to act super confident, but I worry about myself a lot, especially after like tonight. There's a lot of areas, so I don't want y'all to think I'm up here thinking I'm perfect, and that's why I'm delivering this to y'all. I'm delivering this to y'all because I'm stepping on my toes also. But anyways, the second part of that is taking steps. Once you gauge yourself, once you see where you're at, once you can fix yourself and work on yourself, and you're ready to progress forward into being a better follower, the first thing you do, further your relationship. 1 John 4:20 is 1 John 4:20 is basically talking about being committed to your brother, being committed to your neighbor. How can I be committed to my neighbor or my brother if I can't even be committed to God enough to get in the Word, to be in the Word daily, and to devote time to Him, to further that relationship with Him, and to deepen that relationship with Him, to get more intimate with Him? I know when people hear that word, it's kind of like cringy, but it really is, guys. Like, we can't be closer to God, and we can't be closer to serving people and doing better for ourselves when we don't even want to get in the Word. If you can, I know everyone has busy days, but if you can't take 15 to 30 minutes out of your time, either before you start your day or before you end your day, something's not right. We have to be able to do that. Further that relationship with them. Whether that looks like a Bible devotional, whether that looks like, going to a grow group or a little small Bible study, anything. Asking questions to a Christian friend that knows more than you. It's okay to have pause, and it's okay to be the Timothy. You know what I mean? Like, there's always people that are going to know more than us, and there's always us who are going to know more than others. Again, that goes back with iron sharpening iron. The second thing is pray more. In Luke 11:1, One of the disciples, it doesn't say which one, I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't say which one, but one of the disciples actually asked Jesus to help him pray because he doesn't really know how to pray. When he asked Jesus that, Jesus doesn't tell him no. The other disciples didn't laugh at him and make fun of him for not knowing how to pray. They all joined in to listen too because they obviously didn't know either. They know they could be better if they're looking at Jesus. So he gives them the words. And to me, this is something I struggle with. If I'm praying by myself, if I'm praying privately, I could go on and sit and pray for an hour straight. Literally, I really can. And I'm not using the same thing, and I'm not being repetitive, and I'm seriously talking to God, getting on that deeper level, getting more intimate with him. But as soon as I get in front of a crowd and I have to pray, it's like I just say the same things every single time I pray. Does anyone else have that problem? I literally do that every single time, and it kills me because I go and I'll tell Cody after, I'm like, dude, I said the same prayer I said like last week. But, oh, well, I got to get over it, I guess. I don't know. Just keep praying about it. But anyways, ask God to help you how to pray, and he'll help. God helps us everywhere where we ask him if it's better equipping us to serve him more. The last one is plug in and go. And what I mean by that is serve. Quit holding back and serve. Mark 10:45. This is a story that we all know. When Jesus gets down and he's washing his disciples' feet, he's serving them. I've used this with my youth, and I just think it's such an incredible story, and it speaks just volumes of the man that Jesus was and just how great and how perfect he is, obviously. This is literally the strongest man in all of time, in all of history. He's the most perfect man, the only perfect man in all of time, in all of history. And he still got down and he scrubbed his followers' feet. And when he did that, this is back in the day, guys. They ain't walking around with like Air Force Ones, Air Maxes, Jordans, boots, not doing none of that. Like, they got some nasty feet. I'm talking like fungus, all that. It's disgusting. Make you stink, smell like Mike Hill's feet. I'm just kidding, Mike. Don't come get me after. Anyway, so he got down and he served. So him being as great as he is, and for him to still go and serve, what's our excuse to not serve? You know what I mean? Like, if the highest person of ever can get up there and he could scrub feet, then I could get down there and I could scrub feet too. And so with that being said, like, get out and go serve. Go ask your church where you could serve. Go ask your pastor. Go ask your grow group leaders. Go ask anybody who can point you in the right direction, how you can plug in and serve. And when I say serve, don't go do something that you think will make you feel good. Like, there's no point in serving if you're going to, like, if I want to go help out with the kids because I work good with kids, then I'm not benefiting God. I'm benefiting myself to make myself feel better, to stroke my own ego and make me feel better about myself. Like, hey, I'm in church, I'm serving, I'm doing good. No, you pray and God leads you where to serve, and you follow him. If you hate taking care of babies, but God's leading you to go in the nursery for an hour every Sunday, then go do that. It's part of serving God. Now, if you're awful with kids, please, like, if you're going to get frustrated and throw one up the roof, like, don't do that. But that's what serving's about. Serving's not about serving ourselves. It's about serving others, even if it makes us uncomfortable. Like, that's something we have to accept. And we have to be willing to do at all times and at any time if you want to be a true follower of him. So don't do anything for your own gain. Plus, when you're serving others, it makes praying and being in the Bible easier, because when you're serving others, you want to do better and you want to know more so you can be better for them, because you don't want to let somebody down. So it holds you like to a responsibility and accountability to know more. I'm gonna get those out because I'm done. I keep getting confused. Anyway, so 3. So this is gonna bring me to my next point, my last point. And it is take lead. And what I mean by take lead is once you're serving, once you're in your word more, once you're doing all that great stuff, go out and take lead. Be the leader. Live like him. Be the influence. Go share the word. Acts 1-7 says God leads us when to witness. If you trust, obey, and put your faith in him. And I'm not talking about tongues. He's not going to make you go da 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 da. Like, sorry, that might have been too soon. Sorry. But when God does lead you, guys, he leads us all. He leads us all in faith, and he leads us all to be great, and he puts the words in our mouth, and he fills us with what we need to say that may save the next person or what may lead the next person. So don't be afraid to share the word. And when you share the word, I'm not saying you have to go do a missions across the country or go missions in Guatemala or Mexico or something like that. There's people in our own backyard that have never even heard the word of God. There's people all around you that haven't. And So you have that. So get out of your comfort zone. Go share the word with someone. Invite them to church. My wife is amazing at this. We could just be in Walmart or just anywhere in general, United, anything, a gas station. I can count on my hands and my toes how many times I've seen her just to the person in front of her, to the cashier, to the waitress or the waiter. You get what I'm saying? Like anybody. She doesn't hesitate. She doesn't have to know their names or anything. She asks them like how they're doing, and they're doing good, blah, 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 small talk, and she'll straight up invite them to church. Do you live here in town? Yeah, well, you should come to church. At Calvary, we have 2 services, 9 and 10:30. If you want to come, I'll come sit with you. She does it every time. I don't know how she does it. I'm the youth pastor, and I still struggle to go up to people, and I'm like, hey, come to church. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to just have that just unwavering faith and trust in God to know that He's going to put those people in your life for a reason. So I look up to her for that, and it's an amazing thing to do. And so invite people to church. Go on a small missions trip if you want to experience what missions is like. The young adults class went on a missions trips about 3 years ago. We went to Arlington, literally 3 hours away. We didn't go anywhere crazy. We didn't do anything. But we got down and we got our hands dirty, and we went and we served like what you would call the projects. We actually got jacked like the first 10 minutes of getting to the first apartment complex. But it didn't stop us. I'm pretty sure it was Callista that got jacked. But that's not for the here nor there. I'm sorry, Kat. Anyways, but we still went out and we still served faithfully. None of us got scared. None of us backed out. That's part of serving, is you trust God and you put your full faith into Him. We served people that haven't even ever heard of God. We got to witness to so many people. It was incredible the day we went out to the apartment complexes. I've never felt so great in my life. I can't tell you if anybody was saved. I didn't go do a follow-up survey with them or anything like that. But I'll tell you what, I did feel God's glory in knowing that we were there, a bus full of people in their young 20s and even late teens, going out there and spreading God's word fearlessly and boldly in an unknown area. It was an amazing thing to see, and it was an amazing feeling. So serving others is truly a gift and a feeling you can't buy. You don't have to go. You don't have to go anywhere fancy. You don't have to do anything too big. It could literally just be going to the person next door to you, or the person shopping right beside you, or even the person the aisle over. It doesn't take much, guys, to make a difference. Also, the second one is to live like Him. How we live determines how we want to serve God, and it determines what we think of God. If we want to be here and we want to serve God on Sunday and Wednesdays, that's great, but guess what? Everybody else besides you that's here on Sundays and Wednesdays is serving God too. It's what we all do. Living like Him goes outside of being at church on a Sunday and Wednesday. Living like Him goes when you're out at a restaurant on a Friday night, and you have people watching you, people who don't go to church, but maybe they look up to you because they see what you post on Facebook and stuff, or they see what you post on Instagram, Snapchat. We're looked at as leaders. Even if you don't think so, you're a leader for God and His kingdom. So you have to always let off the right thing. You can't be in a restaurant on a Friday night, and I'm not saying that I have anything against alcohol or anything like that. I'm not saying not to do that, and like you're condemned for it if you do. But it doesn't look good if you're a self-proclaimed Christian and you're a big follower of Christ, and that you want to serve Him faithfully, but then on a Friday night you have a couple of beers when you're eating your meal and people are coming by seeing you. That's not what they want to see. That's why people call us hypocrites as Christians, which we are. But don't give them more of a reason to. You know what I mean? You have to always remember that we have to live like Him in order to walk in His path. And that's how we do it best, guys. So always remember there's people watching. I've had a couple of instances where it's happened to me before. I didn't think people were watching me, and I might not have watched what I said. And I've had a couple of people come up to me and ask me things, and so it's something that I had to deal with. I had to face those repercussions, and it's not something I felt great about. So just always be aware of your surroundings, no matter where you're at. Show your self-integrity. Show your integrity to God. Don't try to lie or cheat God, because He sees it all. So there's no point in trying to act like Him just at church. Be like Him everywhere, and it becomes easier as the days go by. Listen to the Holy Spirit. It's going to teach us. It teaches us how to walk in godliness. It teaches us how to speak boldly about our faith. 5 years ago, I probably couldn't talk to you hardly anything about God, but now I'll stand up and I don't care who I'm in front of. I'll talk about God and I'll say His word because I can feel the Holy Spirit moving in me. And I love that, and I look forward to that every single day, every single week. I look forward to carrying a conversation that has God in it. And so my last thing is be the influence. It's like I said earlier, guys, everyone needs a Paul and everyone needs a Timothy. Someone who's further than us in our walk that we can learn from, and then someone who's behind us in our walk that we could teach. Maybe in areas like how to pray, maybe how to learn, how to study, how to serve. Just sharing the principles that we learn from the book or that we learn from our Pauls. And one thing I like to do, and one thing I ask myself is anyone closer to God or coming to know God because of the relationship that they have with me? And to me, that's something that's deep. Because if I have a new relationship that I'm going to have or I'm going to form, and if it's not rooted in God, then I'm already tainting that relationship. I'm already walking a scary line if I make sure that I'm not rooting God into that relationship. So I have to nurture it. Any existing relationships I have, if God's not involved in it, then what am I doing? I need to take a look at myself in the mirror and how am I being a good influence if I'm not mentioning God at all times when I can? If I'm not having my relationships being based off of the foundation of God. I don't want anything to be tainted, so I want it all to be rooted in his word. And any new ones that I form, I for sure want to make sure it's rooted in God's word, and I want to make sure that his presence is felt always. I don't ever want someone to go to lunch with me and think it's okay to speak freely against him, or I don't want anyone to ever come with me and have the feeling that they don't have to live Christ-like when they're with me, because I will hold someone up to that standard if I'm holding myself up to that standard, because I believe if I'm not, then honestly, then I'm too afraid to stick up for what I believe in. So with all that being said, that's all I really have. But just to wrap it up, one thing, I was reading it last night, and it spoke to me. And it was actually something that Denzel Washington said. He's a huge Christian. And I literally woke up at like 1:45, and I couldn't go to sleep. So I woke up, got in my Bible, got on Facebook. The first thing I see is an article from Denzel Washington. So I click on it, and he's talking about in 2 Timothy in the end times. People are doing everything. It happens because people do everything out of being selfish, out of doing, is that me? Sorry if that's me. But it comes out of people being selfish. People do anything to gain their followers. People start paying attention to God. They stop doing all this stuff. It's all right. I'm not going to call you out. But anyways, but people were being selfish. And he talks about what is my life like? What is the purpose of my life if no one has yet to know God because of me? If I've done every single movie in my life and I've done every interview and I've been to every award show and at least one person that I've come in contact with doing that hasn't known about God or at least heard about God to me, what does that say about myself? I don't want to spend my last day on earth if I'm ever sick in a bed having to reflect on the fact that I missed opportunities to bring somebody to Christ. And it hit me hard because I was thinking, how sad would that be, knowing that you're in a place where you can't do anything, but you had your whole life to do something. And I don't ever want to be put in that position. I want to make sure people always know that I live for God and I live for his glory, and I do everything, all my works in his glory, not for myself. But because when I'm selfish, I'm being prideful. So when I take the pride out of it, I'm taking the selfishness out. I want to be selfless, guys. I hope you all want to be too, because that's truly the way it starts with being a better follower of God, and that's the only way you could be a better follower of God. Whenever that pride's at stake, let it go. It's not worth it. God has it all under control. Trust in him. Have your full faith in him always. If he could do good works through me, he can for sure do good works through anybody in this room. I promise you that. That's all I have. So I'm going to just, if you bow your heads and pray with me, we'll get out of here. Dear God, I just want to thank you for today, Lord. I just want to thank you for every single person in this room. And I just pray that you bless them, Lord. And I pray that you be with them all and they always feel your presence. God, I just pray to be better followers of you, to be more obedient of you, Lord, to have a stronger desire to further our relationship with you, God. Lord, I just pray that you soften our hearts to serve others, to take us where you lead, and to build us where we're weak. Lord, I just pray that you help us to be stronger, to be bolder, to be wiser, and to be more resilient, Lord. I just pray for a loving and a peaceful holiday week for everybody here, and I just pray that everyone feels your presence and love, even if it may be in a time of grief. We put all of our trust and faith in you,